On my birthday, my boyfriend of 5 years broke up with me. I agreed. The next day, he posted a photo collage on his social feed. In the pictures, he and the other woman were sitting in a brand new BMW, holding up a marriage certificate, smiling sweetly, and making a heart shape with their hands. The caption read, "Starting a new life." I scoffed, opened my banking app, and started counting the zeros from right to left. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, tens of millions. On my 29th birthday, I had just received a piece of incredibly good news. I was ecstatic and about to share it with my boyfriend, Brandon, when I saw his face turn grim. He opened his mouth and said, "Rachel, let's break up." My smile slowly faded. I just stared at him, silent. "The rent is due at the end of the month. You can keep all the furniture and appliances we bought. I'll just take my computer and a few changes of clothes." Brandon was trying to sound generous. I laughed, but it was humorless. Furniture and appliances? Did he mean the second-hand computer desk he used for gaming? Or the fan that didn't even oscillate anymore? Maybe my disdain was too obvious, because Brandon started to look uncomfortable. "And our joint account, it was opened in your name. You can have all the money in it." I rolled my eyes. We had agreed to deposit half of our salaries into a joint account every month for shared expenses. The thing is, he worked in sales and his base salary was pathetic. His monthly income was never stable. Especially in the early years, he was too proud to schmooze clients and was always at the bottom of the performance charts. Even if he had put his entire paycheck in, it wouldn't have been enough. I was always the one covering the difference. Later, thanks to his pretty face and aloof vibe, he finally managed to attract a few clients, and his performance started to improve. But even as his income grew, so did his taste for a higher quality of life. Case in point, it wasn't even the end of the month, and he had already blown through all the money in the account. The current balance wasn't even enough to buy groceries for tomorrow. How did he have the nerve to say he was leaving this for me? My face hardened. I forced down the anger bubbling up inside me and said pointedly, "Is there anything else you need to tell me?" Brandon froze. His eyes darted away before he launched into a patronizing speech. "Don't be like this. I know you're upset, and I don't want to do this to you. But you can't force feelings, right? Breaking up now is for our future. I don't want you to keep struggling with me." Forget it. Maybe the pressure was just too much for him. That's why he had to give up on our relationship. I let out a breath, my heart softening a little. I was just about to tell him my good news when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Brandon glanced at it, and a look of panic flashed across his face. "It's probably a telemarketer, Rachel. Don't answer random numbers." Seeing his reaction, my stomach dropped. A woman's intuition told me this call wasn't so simple. I raised my hand, answered, and put it on speaker. "Hello, is this Rachel Summers?" It was a woman's voice. Brandon couldn't sit still anymore. He shot up to grab my phone, but I had anticipated it and pulled it away. "This is she." I had a feeling I knew what was coming. My fingers started to tremble. "I'm Brandon's girlfriend. Is he still over there with you? Could you please tell him to come home soon? I'm waiting to have dinner with him." Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at the ceiling, taking several deep breaths, trying to choke back the tears welling in my eyes. After a moment, I turned my head to look at Brandon, who was standing there flustered, his secret now exposed. I demanded, "If she's your girlfriend, then what am I?" "Rachel, I'm sorry. I didn't want this. But I can't control my feelings." Brandon buried his face in his hands, looking completely devastated. He always did this. Whenever he faced a difficult situation, he'd stick his head in the sand like an ostrich, pretending it never happened. In the past, I would have patiently comforted him, talked him through it, and found a way to help him solve the problem. But this time, I wasn't going to waste another second on him. "You." I had just started to speak when another phone rang. This time it was Brandon's. He pulled out his phone, a panicked look on his face. His eyes darted between his phone and me for a few seconds before he clenched his jaw and declined the call. But I'd already seen the caller ID. Baby. How ironic. I never checked his phone. Maybe it was precisely because I trusted him so completely that he felt so free to be reckless. When did this start? I couldn't help but ask. About 6 months ago, Brandon mumbled, his head down, looking unnatural. No wonder. For the past 6 months, he'd contributed less to our account, but his spending had skyrocketed. I had thought it was because of the tough economy. I was so afraid of stressing him out that I never dared to ask, just quietly used my own money to cover his various wants. It turned out he was using the money to support another woman. I gritted my teeth, my fists clenched, and silently told myself, "Don't get angry. Don't get angry. Rachel, your best days are ahead of you." My phone rang again. It was the same number. She was getting impatient. I sneered and answered the call. Instantly, the other woman's furious voice filled the room. "Rachel, have you no shame? Brandon already broke up with you, and you're still clinging to him. Let me make it clear. It's over between you two. We're both women, so let me give you some advice. Let go before you completely humiliate yourself." Brandon couldn't take it anymore. He snatched the phone from my hand and hung up. Tears started to fall down my cheeks. Brandon looked panicked, unable to meet my eyes. "I'm leaving. From now on, take care of yourself." With that, he grabbed the suitcase he'd already packed and walked out without a second glance. That night, I lay alone in our rented apartment, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. 5 years. How many 5-year periods does a person get in their life? Brandon and I were both from ordinary families in a smaller city, trying to make it on our own after graduating from college. We met at a friend's party. At the time, we were both recent graduates who had taken a few beatings from the real world, but still held on to a sliver of a dream, unable to let go of our ambitions. The day we got together was my birthday. It was pouring rain, and he didn't have an umbrella. He ran to me through the storm, hunched over, trying to protect a small cake in his arms. He smiled and said, "Rachel, happy birthday." Looking at Brandon, soaked to the bone like a drowned rat, I was deeply moved. After I became an adult, no one besides my parents ever paid attention to my birthday. Brandon was the only one. From then on, in this cold, concrete jungle, two lonely souls clung to each other for warmth. "Rachel, I'm going to celebrate your birthday with you every year. Rachel, when I make a lot of money, I'll buy you a car. I'll drive you to and from work every day. No, by then, you won't have to work at all. I'll support you. I'll drive you around. We'll go eat amazing food, see all the beautiful sights, and travel the world." He loved to dream, and I dreamed along with him, because I was in his dreams. Back then, I truly believed that as long as we had love, no hardship was too great to bear. I worked hard and saved every penny, just so we could save up enough to buy our own place sooner. The boba shop next to my office came out with a new flavor for 7. All my coworkers got one, and I was tempted to try it, but he talked me out of it. "That stuff is all sugar. What's so good about it? Drinking plain water is the healthiest." I was a little disappointed, but on second thought, he had a point. Isn't that how you save money, bit by bit? But then he'd turn around and buy 20 worth of lottery tickets from the corner store, his eyes gleaming as he told me, "This isn't spending, it's an investment." Brandon loved playing the lottery. He bought tickets for every drawing. And after buying them, he'd start dreaming, pulling me in to paint these grand pictures for me. "Rachel, when I win, we'll buy a huge house and a luxury car. And this crappy job? Whoever wants it can have it. We're done." I'd get a little swept up in it, too. "Rachel, once we buy a house, let's get married." And so, I started to imagine our wedding. But winning the lottery is a long shot, and it rarely happens. Most of the time, that money just went down the drain. He'd get really dejected after every drawing. I would comfort him. It's okay. Just think of it as donating to charity and building up good karma. Look, I made an extra $50 from my side gig today. Let me take you out for a nice meal." Once in a while, after buying so many tickets, he'd win a small prize. The biggest one I remember was for $1,500. He was finally triumphant and declared magnanimously, "Rachel, let's go. I'm taking you shopping. Buy whatever you want." That day, we wandered through the mall for hours. "Everything here is so expensive. Let's not buy anything." Years of scrimping and saving had trained me to check the price tag before looking at anything else. I couldn't bring myself to spend hundreds or thousands on clothes. In the end, after all that time, I picked out 2 outfits for him and bought a single, off-season dress for myself that was on clearance. We had about $7,000 left from the prize money. I wanted to put it toward our house fund, but Brandon wouldn't have it. Rachel, I saw a computer I really want. The computer was $8,000. I couldn't talk him out of it, so I ended up chipping in some of my own money to buy it for him. After that, Brandon's lottery habit got even more obsessive. Rachel, you just wait. I'm going to hit the jackpot one of these days. I'm going to throw you the most lavish wedding. All your parents and friends will be so envious of you. He kept weaving these beautiful dreams for me, and like I was under a spell, I happily went along with it. Now the beautiful dream was about to come true. But he'd had a change of heart. The memories swirled in my head like a carousel. As dawn approached, my tears finally ran dry. Maybe he broke up with me because he didn't know about the news yet. Once he found out, he'd come back for me. After all, he'd promised to make me happy. With that thought, I drifted into a hazy sleep. When I woke up again, it was already 2 p.m. I opened my phone to see 7 or 8 missed calls and dozens of unread texts on WhatsApp. Did he regret it? My heart pounded as I rubbed my sore eyes and quickly opened the messages. Rachel, you have to see Brandon's feed. What happened with you and Brandon? You guys seemed fine just a few days ago. Rachel, are you okay? Please don't do anything crazy. Call me back. It wasn't him. The calls and texts were all from Chloe. She was Brandon's coworker and my best friend. I had met Brandon through her. Just as disappointment was setting in, Chloe's call came through again. I answered. Rachel, you finally answered. You scared me to death. I'm fine. I responded, my voice hoarse. Don't say you're fine. That scumbag Brandon. I'm so pissed. He didn't come to work today. When I see him, I'm going to punch him. On the other end of the line, Chloe was fuming, tearing Brandon to shreds. Finally, after venting her anger, she sounded a little confused. Did he win the lottery or find a sugar mama? I tried to call and yell at him, but he blocked my number. Won the lottery? Sugar mama. I was stunned. After hanging up, I opened my social feed and immediately saw the 9-photo grid Brandon had posted. A luxury car, gourmet food, fancy drinks, flowers, a marriage certificate, a diamond ring. Everything I had once dreamed of was now laid out in his photos. In the center of the grid was a sweet picture of them together. In the photo, he and that woman were sitting in a new BMW, holding hands, flashing their marriage certificate, and making a heart shape for the camera. The caption read, "Starting a new life." Their smiling faces were blinding. The heart I thought couldn't hurt anymore felt like it was being pricked by 1,000 tiny needles. So he knew about the news. Maybe that's exactly why he was in such a hurry to break up with me. How could he do this? I was the one who paid for that lottery ticket. Rage clouded my judgment. My fingers trembled as I picked up my phone and dialed Brandon's number. The call went through. Before I could even start yelling, a woman's voice was on the line. Rachel, I'm warning you, Brandon is my husband now. Stop harassing him. Brandon, I'm the one who paid for that lottery ticket. I shouted, furious. What are you talking about? My husband bought that ticket himself. We're married now, so even if he won, it's our marital property. What does it have to do with you? The woman laughed triumphantly, then quickly hung up. Furious, I tried calling back, but I'd been blocked. I collapsed onto the floor, weak and in disbelief. It was the day before my birthday. Brandon had picked out the lottery numbers. I was heading out to buy groceries, so he asked me to pick up the ticket for him on the way. Consider this your birthday present, he said, half joking, half serious. Okay. Iderplia. I was a little disappointed but didn't think much of it. He always got me small, thoughtful, though not very expensive, gifts for my birthday. Maybe he was planning a surprise this time. I was secretly looking forward to it. But the clerk at the lottery counter accidentally printed the wrong numbers. Oh no, what do I do? The owner said, looking worried. The ticket was for 62. If no one bought it, he'd have to eat the cost. Running a small business isn't easy for anyone. What if this one was a winner? My heart softened. It's fine, I'll take this one too. Can you just print another one with the numbers I wrote down? So I bought 2 lottery tickets. When I got home, afraid Brandon would complain about me wasting money, I didn't mention it. I just casually put one ticket in his drawer and tucked the other one into my purse. That night, the lottery numbers were announced. Brandon was really excited, constantly looking back and forth between the notebook where he'd written the numbers and his phone. I didn't pay much attention at the time and even teased him. What? Did you hit the jackpot? No. Nothing that good ever happens, he said, hastily putting the notebook down and sighing to cover his tracks. I didn't press him. It wasn't until the next day, when I was bored, that I pulled the ticket out of my purse to check it against the winning numbers. One matched 2. The further I went, the faster my heart beat. By the end, I could hardly believe my eyes. All the numbers matched. I won. After the initial wave of ecstasy, I called Brandon. You need to come home right now, I have something to tell you. I wanted to give him a surprise. While I waited, I daydreamed about all the plans we had made. Feeling so lightheaded it was like I was floating. I kept pinching my thigh. Ow. It hurt. I wasn't dreaming. I was so happy I felt delirious. But I never expected that when Brandon got home, the first thing he would say was that he wanted to break up with me. The lottery ticket. Right. The lottery ticket. I scrambled to my feet, holding on to a sliver of hope, and rummaged through Brandon's drawer. Gone. He took the lottery ticket with him. I started to panic. Then my trembling hands went to my purse. Thank God, my ticket was still there. My eyes were wide as I compared the numbers on my ticket, one by one. It's correct. This is the winning ticket. I opened my phone's photo album and found the picture I took of the numbers Brandon had handwritten. They were identical to the ticket in my hand, which means the ticket I'm holding is the one that won the jackpot. And the one Brandon took was the misprint from the lottery agent. He didn't win. So where did he get the money for a luxury car and a diamond ring? I didn't get it. But it didn't matter anymore. I let out a cold laugh. Brandon, you were cruel to me, so don't blame me for being ruthless. Time was short. I couldn't delay any longer. I picked out my plainest clothes, put on a mask and a sun hat, and bundled myself up completely. Finally, I grabbed the lottery ticket, double-checked that all my IDs were in my purse, and left to take the subway. The prize claiming process was a bit complicated, but I remained calm and cooperative. How could it not be complicated? After all, this was a 148 million jackpot. I paid over 20 million in taxes alone. I had never seen so much money in my life. I struggled to control my racing heart as I signed my name with a trembling hand. Everyone was looking at me with envy. There were people from the bank on site who set up everything for me. Holding my new bank card, I felt light as a feather, like none of it was real. On the way back, I opened my newly linked banking app and stared at the long string of numbers in my account balance, counting from the end. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, tens of millions. The numbers were cold, but my heart was on fire. Who needs a scumbag boyfriend? I, Rachel Summers, am starting a new life. I didn't go back to the rental. The first thing I did was go to a real estate agent, and buy the dream house I'd been eyeing for ages, paying in full. The house was newly renovated, fully furnished, and all I needed to do was buy some daily necessities to move right in. It wasn't until I had the keys in my hand that I truly felt it wasn't a dream. Once everything was settled, I called Chloe and asked her out to dinner. But as luck would have it, while waiting for Chloe to get off work, I ran into Brandon, who was showing off his new car and his new wife at the office. Brandon was decked out in brand new designer clothes, carrying himself like he was the CEO of the company. I'm here to quit. I'm done with this place, he announced arrogantly. Whoa, Brandon, did you strike it rich? A coworker asked, a hint of envy in his voice. It's nothing. Just a small windfall. I'm not putting up with this crap anymore. Brandon, don't forget us when you're rich. Give your buddies a hand up, man, someone in the crowd shouted. The envious, jealous, and hateful stares of the people around him fed his vanity. Sure. I'll treat you all to dinner another day. Brandon waved, feeling a little flustered. He was drunk on the idea of the jackpot and had been rushed into marrying the other woman. All of today's expenses were charged to his credit cards. The car was financed. His credit cards were maxed out, and he didn't have enough credit left. He couldn't actually afford to show off today. But these were minor details. Once he cashed in the big prize tomorrow, none of this would matter. Brandon stood up straight, feeling extremely proud. I was in the crowd and saw his smug, arrogant expression. I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. What did I ever see in a guy like that? Just as I was berating myself, Brandon spotted me. His face fell, and he said with disgust, "Didn't we already break up? Why did you follow me here?" I was about to deny it when the woman clinging to Brandon's side stepped forward, her voice dripping with arrogance. "Rachel, can you have some decency? We're already married. Are you so desperate for a man that you have to keep harassing him like this?" Instantly, a crowd of gawkers gathered around. "Isn't that Brandon's girlfriend? When did they break up? Didn't you see Brandon's post today? He got married. This is the ex-girlfriend." "What? He got rich and immediately traded up. That's so sad for her. Man, Brandon has some dumb luck." The people around us were all murmuring. I crossed my arms and let out a sneer. Some people are into toads, so they assume everyone else is too. Let me be clear. I don't go digging through my own trash. "You." Brandon's face went from pale to beet red. The other woman tightened her grip on his arm, pressing herself against him and looking at me provocatively. "Is that so? I think someone's just got a case of sour grapes. Just a tough act, aren't you?" I was unimpressed. What is there to be sour about over a man who just mooches off women? Wasn't she in a hurry to get married so she could share that massive jackpot? Well, let them be locked together, waiting to pay off his debts. I turned to leave, but just then Chloe arrived. "Brandon, you scumbag. Cheating on Rachel wasn't enough. Now you have the nerve to bring your cheap mistress to the office. Are you even human?" Chloe was furious. She grabbed a folder from a nearby desk and started chucking it at the two of them. Some people who knew the truth and already disliked them secretly started handing Chloe more things to throw. In the chaos, the two of them were pelted, unable to fight back. Brandon pulled the woman in front of him as a shield while yelling at the crowd. "She's attacking us. Call the police. Someone call the police." Unfortunately for him, no one wanted to get involved. I walked over, pulled back a tired Chloe and said, "Forget it. Let's go. What goes around comes around." It wasn't worth getting tangled up with people like them. I wanted to treat Chloe to dinner, but she insisted on paying. I said quietly, "Spending money makes people happy. Just let me do this today." She finally relented. I bit my lip, thought about it, and decided to keep my lottery win a secret for now. "Chloe, I think I'm going to quit. I want to travel for a while. I was always so focused on saving for a house that I never let myself buy anything. Thinking about it now, I've been too hard on myself." She looked at me with sympathy and nodded in agreement. A change of scenery would be good. Go clear your head. Thinking about how Brandon and his wife had been flaunting themselves today, Chloe got angry all over again. "Did Brandon really win the lottery?" she asked tentatively. "Maybe," I said looking down. "He definitely didn't win the grand prize, but maybe a second prize or something. Perhaps a few $1,000s? There's no justice in the world." Chloe took a vicious bite of her kebab, then realized what she'd said and glanced at my face. Seeing that I was calm, she breathed a sigh of relief and comforted me. "It's okay, Rachel. We can find someone better." I smiled. I didn't care if there was a better man in my future. All I knew was that with or without a man, I could live an amazing life. Worried that Brandon might come looking for me about the lottery ticket at any moment, I moved into my new house that night. I texted my old landlord to terminate the lease. I told him he could keep the security deposit and everything in the room. I didn't want any of it. The next day, I went to the office to resign. In the information age, gossip travels fast. In just one night, the entire company knew that I had been dumped by my newly rich boyfriend. My supervisor was an older woman, Miss Peterson, who was usually very strict with me. When I handed her my resignation letter, she looked at me several times, as if she wanted to say something. In the end, she said nothing, signed the letter without hesitation, and then called HR right in front of me. Let's just pay Rachel for a full month's work. Thank you, Ms. Peterson, I said with a grateful smile. It's nothing. Rachel, you're still young, and you have a long life ahead of you. You need to learn to look forward. Wherever you fall, that's where you get back up. Ms. Peterson patted my shoulder and spoke with sincerity. Yes, I will, I nodded. After all the paperwork was done, I walked out of the company, bought a train ticket on my phone, and set off on a spontaneous trip. I got a new phone and a new number. With enough money, my whole being relaxed. I became more tolerant, and everything I saw seemed beautiful. A week later, I got a call from Chloe. Brandon came to the office today. Do you know why? She sounded mysterious and excited. Why? He came to ask for his last 2 weeks of pay. Chloe's dramatic voice came through the receiver. I put her on speaker, held a coconut in my hand, and stood in front of my floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the ocean, just smiling silently. I mean, do you remember how arrogant and high and mighty he was when he quit? And now he has the nerve to come back, begging for such a small amount of money? Didn't he win the jackpot and buy a luxury car? Did he blow through it all that fast? Who knows? I said, taking an indifferent sip of coconut water. He also asked me for your contact info, said he had something important to talk to you about. Like I'd ever give it to him. Chloe, you're the best. I'll bring you back a gift when I get back, I said sincerely. The world outside was too beautiful. I didn't really want to go back, so I decided to become a nomad. I started a new account online, casually taking pictures of beautiful scenery, writing about the people I met, sharing the stories I experienced, and helping those in need. I started with the simple intention of recording and sharing beauty, but I unexpectedly gained a lot of followers, which gave me another decent source of income. Finally, I could spend money without feeling guilty. I bought my family a new house, and for Chloe's birthday, I bought her the car of her dreams. In the meantime, I heard bits and pieces of news about Brandon. He sold the car. He was obsessively buying lottery tickets but rarely won. He borrowed money from a lot of people, took out online loans, and became infamous in our friend circle as a deadbeat. He got divorced. Apparently, the divorce was incredibly ugly. Brandon clung to the woman, refusing to divorce her. He said it was all her fault for pressuring him to spend money he didn't have, to finance the car, to buy the diamond ring. That's why he was in so much debt. Furious, the woman accused him of marriage fraud. You told me you won the grand prize. That's the only reason I married you. So where's the money? I did win. I still have the numbers I wrote down. They match the winning numbers exactly. Yeah, right. What good is writing them down? You should have bought the right ticket. A man who can't even check a lottery ticket number correctly is a total waste of space. It's all Rachel's fault. She bought the ticket for me. She bought the wrong one. All you do is blame others when things go wrong. You're such a coward. I'm a coward. And what are you, you cheap bitch? The two of them got into a physical fight, and both ended up at the police station. To get away from him, the woman gave up everything, but he still managed to bleed her dry. Serves them right. Instant karma. Chloe said over the phone, gloating. It's a good thing you bought the wrong ticket for him. Do you know how much the prize was? 148 million. TSK. If that scumbag had gotten his hands on it, I'd be too angry to sleep. I patted my chest, feeling a wave of relief. Thank God, I found out the man's true colors just in time. I opened my phone and decided to donate another sum of money to children in impoverished mountain regions. I believe that doing good deeds builds up more karma than buying lottery tickets. One day, a new follower appeared on my account. He sent me a private message. Rachel, I miss you. My gut told me it was Brandon. I ignored him and blocked him immediately. I had to laugh. He probably wanted to get back together. Suddenly, my comments section blew up with onlookers. Some sympathized with me, telling me not to go back to eating crap. Others sided with him, believing that a prodigal son's return is more precious than gold. I didn't want to engage, but he was causing such a scene that it was affecting my account. So I replied to him with one sentence. I'm grateful to you. The way you hurt me made me who I am today. But as far as I'm concerned, you're dead to me. And with that, the whole drama finally came to a close. My own beautiful life, however, was just beginning.